What is happening, guys, and welcome back to the channel. For today's video we're going to be checking out the Transformers Legacy Evolution Voyager class comic universe Tarn. Now this is one I've been really looking forward to, and to think that we're now at a point where we're beginning to see comic universe characters in the main line is just quite surreal. If you cast your mind back to a couple of years ago, this literally would have been something that was unheard of. So very excited for this one, in particular because Tarn 2 is the leader of the Decepticon Justice Division. It doesn't get any badder than that. Now as we jump into the packaging, I know it must be Christmas, we do get some really cool artwork of Tarn in both the tank as well as robot mode, looking fantastic. We do get the Scan Me for tech specs here at the top, and as we come around to the back, we get some fantastic product shots, and they do a great job. I mean, if these don't sell you on the figure, honestly, I don't know what will, as that image in particular is just nuts. We do get the Evo-Fusion capability, and for this side we get half of the Legacy Evolution poster, and I thought it was really cool that if you pick up any of the Autobots in this wave, so here I have the box art for Leo Prime, it does complete that, and that is fantastic. And this actually gives us a really good look at some of the smaller Easter eggs which may have gone missed, such as the Transformers animated space bridge. So definitely be sure to stay tuned for some of those upcoming Wave 2 figures. I definitely think that is going to be an animated proud, but that is basically the packaging. Let's get Tarn out here and see whether or not he was worth the hype. And I think they may have just gone and done it. I think this could potentially be the perfect Voyager class figure. And I mean, 2023 hasn't even started yet, but we're looking for contender of the best figure of the year already. This thing is absolutely nuts. I mean, check out the profile. This guy is solid, looks insane from literally every angle. I mean, even as we come around to the back, no hollow spaces on a modern Voyager. That is literally unheard of. The back of the legs are filled out, the back of the arms is filled out, the inside of the thighs. What on earth were Hasbro smoking when they put this thing together, as that is definitely what they need to be on when they put out some of the future stuff. This guy is wicked. Now as we jump into the details, we do get that Decepticon infused head. I mean, this guy is so proud of being a Decepticon, he's permanently fused the logo as his face piece. That is just nuts. It's not removable, so don't try and pull it off or you'll potentially break the figure, but look at the detail. That is just so nicely done. And can we just talk about the shade of purple? This is near enough spot on to how Tarn actually appeared in the comic covers, so such a sweet touch. Even as we come around to the back, check out that gunmetal grey. That is so nicely done. We even get some purple light piping here at the top, which, to be honest, is a little tricky. I mean, you really have to get a direct source of light to get those eyes illuminating, but even that is a sight to behold. I think the chest piece looks fantastic. This will become the front of the tank, so very nice kind of translucent purple pieces. Love the way that looks. And we get the triple stacked treads as shoulders. I mean, have we ever seen a Decepticon that looks this bad? I don't think so. This guy is so wicked. We take a look here at the arms. Love the way these have turned out. Again, that purple. And the hands, especially the fingers. Check out how slender they are. They literally are identical to Tarn's fingers. So I thought that was a great touch, especially as we take a look here at kind of the inside of the palm. That is really nice. Like how they've actually kind of fused these skirt pieces onto the hip joints, meaning that when you articulate, it does move with it and isn't just a flap, which is kind of flopping around and restrictive. So that's really sweet. As we take a look here at the thighs, big and chunky, reminds me of some of those old pre-2010 Voyagers. And here for the shins and the feet, I mean, we've even got some hydraulic details for the inside of the foot. That is just such a nice touch. I mean, design-wise, this guy is immaculate. That's a word I don't tend to use too often on the channel when describing the design, but truly an immaculate-looking figure. Now, as we get stuck into the articulation, Tarn's head is on a ball joint, so it can look up and down, but you can also utilize the transformation joint, and that will allow for a much greater range, so that's sick. It can also tilt side to side and rotate left to right. We do get a great rotation out of the shoulders, hinge joint out to the sides, nice rotation here, kind of in the mid bicep, although one thing worth mentioning is that due to transformation, this is supposed to hinge back and forth. It would have been neat had they actually locked it in for bot mode, as it can become a little fiddly when you're posing him and this section just kind of breaks. It looks like he's literally snapped his arm off, but minor qualm. We do get a nice 90 there at the elbow and a full wrist rotation, and I mean, proper articulated fingers. I love it when they pack those into Voyagers. So again, just makes this guy truly perfect. We do get a nice waist rotation, which can go left to right. Not the full 360 due to kind of this back plate, but still more than adequate. That is fantastic. The hips can kick forwards that far, completely unhindered, back that far, which is fantastic. They can also kick out to the sides. Nice rotation here in the thigh, and officially, technically, the knees actually lock in for transformation, which would mean you'd only get roughly to that far. But if you disengage that locking mechanism, we can actually get way past 90, which again, insane. And then we can just lock it back into place. The foot can pivot forwards, backwards, and rock side to side. So I'm going to be honest with you guys, I really do think we're looking at potentially one of Hasbro's first flawless Voyager figures. This guy is absolutely nuts in robot mode, and official Tarn, can you guys believe it? Now as we get stuck into accessories, he certainly isn't slacking there. We get these kind of massive ion fusion cannons, very nicely detailed. They are asymmetrical, so as you guys can see, translucent purple plastic, really nice kind of dark purple applied over the top. Love the way this one looks in particular. We can use them as an actual fusion cannon. I believe you're supposed to rotate this section here so this kind of grey panel is slightly sticking out, and you can peg it into any of the MechTech ports, so we can snap it there onto the side of the arm, which really does complete his look. I mean, that looks fantastic. Or alternatively, you can come around to the back, take these smaller kind of turrets and just rotate them around, and then what will happen here is we can swing this here around, disengage these here from the MechTech ports and just peg them into these top ones, and you can actually snap this into the back, and there we have proper massive shoulder cannons for Tarn, and I mean that is just so incredible. But his Evo-Fusion capability is that you're supposed to combine them into kind of this mega rifle, so let's see how that shapes out. We simply do just peg that in there and bang. Now I can imagine him giving a nice sneaky shot into the back of Optimus Prime with that. Perhaps he's hiding in the shadows waiting for Optimus to be completely vulnerable, and then bang, right in the back, takes Prime clean out, and he can hold it and he looks pretty fantastic whilst doing so as well. So overall, knockout looking figure. Now as we jump into a few comparisons, we have Voyager Tarn compared alongside the Earthrise leader Optimus, and he's actually a little bit smaller, but not by much. I mean, as we just bring them in here for an eye to eye, you can see Prime's head is a little bigger, but I mean overall I think the scaling looks really nice, and he really does appear to be the equivalent to Optimus Prime. Again, we just love to see these two go head to head in battle on the big screen. Here he is alongside the Voyager Earthrise Megatron, and I live for the days that we get a Megatron figure which is just as good as this Tarn. As don't get me wrong, I love the way this guy looks, but I definitely think they can do a little better. Another purple Deceptor baddie, that being Siege Shockwave, Leader Class Scourge, and Netflix Deluxe Bumblebee, which I don't think Tarn would even look at. He'd literally just tread on him and crush him like a bug. Now getting stuck into transformation, this guy's actually pretty complex, and again, very enjoyable experience, just all round, so cool. We come around here to the back to start off with. You're going to want to take these turrets, click them there into place. We'll then take this whole section and actually put it away from the back. Now this piece is complete transparent plastic, but feels quite thick and durable. I don't think it's going to break anytime soon. We can then rotate this around so that the cannons are now facing upwards and just set it here off to the side. We can now take Tarn's bot mode head, and you're going to want to rotate this here into that hollow cavity, just like this. You will now want to take the chest piece, disengage this slightly, and that will allow us to take the treads and actually slightly extend them away from the body. Basically, there's a tiny little locking mechanism that will then allow us to hinge these backwards slightly. So do the same here for this side, and then basically what you're supposed to do here is feed this tab into that slot. Now, it can be a little challenging to do to start things off with, but you're just going to want to make sure it's locked in there and then push the head back with it, and that is it fully locked into place, so not going nowhere. What we can then do is take these sections here and just hinge those upwards, come around here to the back, and this section, there's a tiny little circular tab that's going to peg into the flight port adapter. You're going to want to just snap that section there into place. We can now take the feet, hinge these sections down, and disengage that locking mechanism that I mentioned previously during articulation. So do the same here. The instructions do mention about actually tabbing these in. Personally, I wouldn't recommend to do that just yet. So just as long as you have them like that, you should be pretty good to go. We can then flip around here to the front. You'll want to rotate here at the original shoulder joint, collapse the fingers in, and then rotate the hand so that the back is now facing forwards. We can then take this panel here, disengage it, rotate it around, and now rotate here at the bicep, and there is a slot here on the front of the forearm that's going to peg into this tab on the side of the thigh. So utilize that transformation joint and the elbow joint and just snap that in there nice and securely. We can then take this panel, open this up, bring this down, and what's going to happen is this is going to slide into this tiny little cavity. Now it can be a little difficult to get it in there, but just snap it into place, and then this panel will just click over the top. Second side, exactly the same as the first. So take the hand, snap that there into place, rotate this section here around, take this panel, disengage that, rotate here, snap that section there nice and securely into place. We can then pop this section out, rotate this around, And again, just snap that in, click that there into place. And to be honest, guys, we're near enough done. Now is where you can actually begin to combine the legs just like that. And we have 2 tabs here and here that are going to peg into these 2 slots, and then we also have another set here which are going to peg into these slots. So it really is just a balancing act of bending both of those knee joints to make sure that everything does click into place nice and securely. And there we have the base tank. For some finishing touches, we bring back in the massive Evo-Fusion turret, and there are 2 tabs here and here that are going to smack themselves into these shin slots. So snap these sections in, and there we have Legacy Evolution Tarn fully transformed up into, again, his pretty smashing looking tank mode. And this is really cool, such a solid figure, although there is one tiny qualm I have with this, and I'll get into that in just a second. But as we take a look at the details, much like the bot mode, this too is super accurate to how Tarn appeared in some of those comic covers. I mean, check out the detailing here for this front piece, the Decepticon logo. Love these kind of quadruple cannons that we have here, and this piece can actually rotate due to it kind of being holstered on that adapter that I showcased previously, so you can rotate that all the way around. These cannons can also hinge up slightly, which is nice, and all 4 of these are blast effect compatible. I'll be sure to smack in a nice B-roll clip here just to showcase how that looks. Very nice paintwork here for the sides of the treads. I mean, not only is this guy sculpted nicely, but also really nicely painted. Love the way that's turned out. Even come around to the back, not too bad looking. My only qualm would be that the hands just kind of stick out. It would have been cool had they found a way to have kind of hinged them inwards, and then maybe this panel could have come over the top to conceal them. But I mean, it is what it is. And he doesn't roll either, sadly. These wheels here are fake, which is such a shame. He was so close to being 100% flawless. I mean, had they just put some tiny little rolling wheels, I honestly wouldn't have had near enough anything to complain about. But overall, pretty sweet looking tank mode, I'm sure you'll agree. Now, as we jump into a few tank mode comparisons, we have Tarn compared alongside Earthrise Optimus Prime, just so you guys can see how they roughly stack up alongside each other. My Shattered Glass and Netflix Megatron hybrid, just so you can kind of get that tank comparison between the two. Leader class Velocitron Scourge, just so we have kind of a slightly bigger leader when in comparison to Earthrise Prime in truck mode. Just so you guys can see how these two roughly fare next to each other. And then finally, the tiny little deluxe class Netflix Bumblebee. So definitely would absolutely destroy Bumblebee on the battlefield. And so, wrapping up on this review for the Transformers Legacy Evolution Comic Universe Tarn. Overall, guys, I'm going to be honest, I think this is a pretty flawless figure. I mean, I don't have that many things to complain about at all, besides the lack of proper rolling wheels in the tank mode, and maybe a locking mechanism for kind of that transformation joint in bot mode. This guy looks absolutely sick, and as far as a mainline version of Tarn goes, I couldn't have expected any better. I mean, this thing has way exceeded my expectations. Fantastic paint and sculpting in the bot mode and the tank mode. Transformation is great, nothing is too hard nor simplistic, it's just a satisfying experience. Nice weapons, nicely painted, nicely detailed. Quite a few kind of cool gimmicks and kind of the Evo-Fusion capability. You can have them as an arm cannon, rockets over the shoulder, or this massive looking sniper rifle, and articulation is near enough off the charts with this guy when we get into bot mode. So, I mean, one of the best legacy figures I've reviewed over on the channel, and I think probably the standard going forward for Voyagers. Anything which is below this in the future, I think it's just going to come across slightly underwhelming. I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comment section below. What do you guys think about not only seeing Tarn in Legacy, but potentially seeing more of kind of the DJD going forward in the main line? I'd love to get the rest of the team members, and what do you think of this as an actual figure? As always, I thank you all so much for watching, and until my next review, I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.